Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to talk about the New Zealand Warriors 2014, and based on the list that has been recruited for 2014, I don't see a lot of change in previous years. The two big problems that they had last year was a lack of an on-field general and bad defence. The Warriors conceded the fourth most tries in the NRL last year, and some of their defence, particularly near their line, was just an absolute disgrace. A big reflection on the coach. The Warriors only won 11 of their 24 games last year, and it could have been so much better than that if they hadn't have dropped off and lacked focus at crucial stages of their games. And that's what an on-field general and a talker can help you with. And there wasn't a lot of talk with the Warriors last year. We're going to talk about some potential generals that could come into this side that haven't been there in the last few years. They certainly have got incredible skill and incredible talent. They always have a good forward pack, and with two of the great devastating runners in World Rugby League in their new big in, Sam Tomkins and of course Shaun Johnson, they're obviously going to be dangerous in any game they play. But we'll just talk about some of the options that the coach might have to play them and how they play them, and it's going to really determine how they go for the year. First and foremost, we need to talk about Shawn Johnson because he's just an incredible player, just an incredible talent, this young kid. And my big concern is that all of his coaches, even his national coach, have crucified him. They're trying to turn him into a Benji Marshall, and he's a Benji Marshall type player where he's a brilliant runner with the ball and he needs to get his hand on the ball and in some space. And they're trying to use him as an organiser and a tactical kicker, and he's an awful tactical kicker. He can certainly kick a ball a long way, but he's not a good short tactical kicker, and he's not a guy that likes the responsibility of organising his forwards. He just likes to do his own thing, get the ball and do his own thing. And we saw him do that in the World Cup. He's just an incredible talent. I'd love to see him play on the outside of a very good organising halfback. Just be incredible to watch. Look, I think one of the best organisers in the side is Sam Tomkins. He's clearly one of the best fullbacks in the world, and he's the best fullback I've ever seen play for England. So will one guy make a difference? I think he'll certainly make a difference, but whether or not they'll have an impact on their defence, time will tell. Look, I'd like to see Sam Tomkins and Shaun Johnson swap positions, but that's certainly not going to happen. He's been recruited very expensively as a fullback, and he'll play fullback. So what does that mean for Kevin Locke? Kevin Locke will obviously go onto the wing, or he'll come off to the bench where he can play just about any position in the back line. But I think you'll find that he'll be starting on the wing, even though he's small. And opposition coaches will target him there on the wing because he's a runner, he's not a defender, and he's not that good with the bomb on the wing. So they're going to have a few problems there. Let's talk about some of the other problems that they're going to have. They've lost probably their best defender in Elijah Taylor. He's gone to Penrith. Now, he's been replaced by Jayson Bukuya. Jayson Bukuya was the worst defender in the recent World Cup. So they've gone from losing their best defender to a guy who's just come off a World Cup and was the number one missed tackler in the World Cup in Bukuya. Now, while I think Bukuya is a very good in and he's a very good player, and I think he'll do some good stuff out there on the right-hand side, what happens is if he's going to play on that right-hand side, he's on the same side as Hurrell. Now, Hurrell, as well, he's a big block-busting centre. He also is a terrible defender. So to have both Bukuya and Hurrell on that right side for the Warriors, that's going to be a massive red flag in defence for them, and I've got no doubt that opposition coaches will be targeting that side without any doubt. I want to talk about the organisation because it looks like that they'll probably start with Thomas Leuluai and obviously Shaun Johnson. They'll be the 6 and 7s. They may swap around from time to time, but that's who they'll be. And I just don't think that's good enough. I think if Leuluai is going to have a role in the side, he should come off the bench or he should be the hooker. But they've got a very good hooker, Nathan Friend, and he is the best defender in the side and the best worker. So you don't really want to be taking him off. So it leaves the coach with a bit of dilemma. They need to come up with a working 6 and 7 that's going to complement Sam Tomkins. We've already got a gun 9, as in Nathan Friend. He gives them a lot of solidarity there. You know Sam Tomkins is going to be brilliant. So they've got to get the 6 and 7 right, and they've got to get the ball in Shaun Johnson's hand in a bit of space and not trying to put too much pressure on him as the organiser. So who's going to do that? I think we'll see that Thomas Leuluai will start off in that role. He's not the key organiser that I thought he was going to be, and I was disappointed in some of the things that he did last year. They recruited young Chad Townsend from the Sharks, and I was amazed that the Sharks let him go and they hung on to their current halfback. At least Chad Townsend, he is a goal kicker, but he's a very good tactical kicker, and he's a genuine organiser, and he may very well be the answer. He's only a young kid, he's got a bright future, and he may be the answer to doing the organising and allowing Shaun to do what Shaun does. So I'm expecting Chad to get a Guernsey at some stage during the season. I don't think he'll probably start, but I do think he'll get a Guernsey. The other guy with organisational skills is the brilliant young kid Carlos Tumavave, who was the skipper in the under-20 side, and he played in 2 grand finals for the Warriors, and he's got a wonderful resume, but he has suffered a lot of injuries, particularly last year, and it looks like if they can get him back, he's also a guy that should be considered in that organisation role. Based on what we saw last year, the coach tried to play him as a centre. He was very uncomfortable with that. He had trouble reading that defence in the centre. So they have the whole off-season now to get him right. Now, whether or not they're going to try and bring him back as a centre, I don't know. He's certainly not big enough at around 90 kilos to play lock. So if he's going to play in the centre position there, that will at least give somebody out in that position the opportunity for, say, a Sam Tomkins running through to put him in a hole. Now, look, having said that, I don't see Tumavave as a centre, but they've got to put him somewhere, and if he's not going to be the 6, it seems to me that Leuluai is in front of him. Chad Townsend will probably be in front of him, but he's such a talent, they probably want to find a position for him somewhere. So these are all the problems that the coach is going to have, but he's got to get that organisation position right. So we've talked about the potential areas where they can have with defence, with Bukuya in the side, and when you've got a guy in the side also like Feliti Mateo, it's going to be difficult to have both Bukuya and Mateo in the forwards at the same time. Neither of them are strong in defence, so they've got to at least have somebody there to support Simon Mannering. So there's probably a role there for a good back rower who's a very good defender. I don't quite know who that would be at the moment. They've certainly got some incredible young kids coming through, not just forwards but in the backs. Look, there's that many of them we won't even probably talk about them, but some of the guys that come through, Matagi was probably the most promising one that I saw last year, and there's about 5 or 6 others with similar talent to him that will be coming through in the forwards. So they need somebody to put their hand up and say that I want to be a starter, I want to be a definite guy coming off the bench. Guys like Jacob Lilliman, Sam Luisi, who we've seen plenty of, I expect that they will be key starters there. Well, I shouldn't say starters, off the bench. I'm hoping that Ben Matulino will be a starter. They play him a lot off the bench, and for me, he's a starter. He started in the World Cup and went fantastic. He's truly one of the great forwards in the world, and he should be a starter. He can play long minutes, and when he comes on, he does things. He has a good go forward, and he has a very good offload. I would expect that he'll probably be partnered by Sam Rapira, but there's a few Sam Rapira types in this side. The centres is a problem also for the Warriors. Dane Nielsen was an expensive in from the Storm last year. I've never been a big fan of Dane Nielsen's, but he does offer good defence, and that's something that has been a problem for them in the centres. We've talked about Konrad Hurrell on the other side. He is a revolving door, and as big and strong as he is, he's got no idea on what to do in defence. He's going to be pressed. Well, we've already talked about Tumavave. The coach is trying to turn him into a centre. Also, one of the young kids coming through, David Fusitatua. He was outstanding last year in the under-20s, and he's got a massive future. He can play in the centres, or he can even play on the wing. Could even play fullback. Great young kid. Dominic Peru, look, I don't think he's a genuine first grader. He wouldn't be in my 17, but the coach played him a lot last year. They've also have to do something with Jeremy Rapate. So you can see that there's a lot of options there for the centre, and I haven't even mentioned Ben Henry. That's another guy. Some of the guys that I wanted to talk about, Havili as a potential 9 if something happens to Nathan Friend is also an option. So you can see that there's no lacking in talent in this New Zealand side. There's never ever been a lack of talent. What they've lacked in is defence, and they've lacked in organisation. And look, the Warriors were the fourth worst defenders last year in the NRL. And that's just simply not good enough with the quality of the team that they've got. They didn't play semi-finals last year, finishing 11th. I think if they can get the 6 and 7 right, and they can get a very happy Shaun Johnson playing to his best, I think guys like Sam Tomkins and with Nathan Friend, I think they can squeeze in and play semi-final football. New Zealand Warriors in 2014. They won't surprise anybody to see them beat any single team in the NRL, either away or at home, because no one's ever surprised, because everyone knows that the talent they've got. What they need to do is to string games together, and when they get out to a big lead, they've got to hold on to that lead. When the game's in balance, they've got to not give away soft tries. That's the New Zealand Warriors that we've seen in past years. And the best way to do that is for the coach to instill that attitude into the players and get some good talkers into that team to guide them around and tell them what to do. We know that Sam Tomkins is one of those players. I think you'll see that he'll be playing a quasi number 6 role a lot, that's what he does for England. And if that's the case, it is going to take a lot of pressure off Shawn Johnson, and we may very well see a breakout year for Shaun Johnson. Let's hope so. Rugby League needs New Zealand Warriors to do very well, and they certainly won't be lacking in talent or potential. So let's hope it gets realised in 2014. If you follow them, good luck.